gonna go back in time to when I was a youngin', and well, I mean, I'm kind of young right now, right? I'm 22, but in this case, I was a straight up kid, right? 10 years old, more specifically, so roughly 12 years ago at this point. My mom had a membership at this big fancy gym, and from time to time, when she wanted to go work out, she'd take me to the gym's little kiddie place, daycare thing, I don't know what it was. It was this big room where parents would drop their kids off to play while they worked out. And let me tell you, I loved it there, right? It had this big TV that would play Pixar movies that I still have yet to outgrow. It had a big jungle gym sort of place like at the McDonald's. And it also had a computer lab with these old Macs. And they had all these Flash games like Tetris, Super Mario Flash, Sonic Flash Ultimate, Fancy Pants Adventures, all good games. But there's one particular game that I think I've played in that lab that would later become one of the most mysterious games of my childhood. From what I remembered, it was this old 3D marble game, sort of like Marble Madness, but in the third person, with mouse and keyboard controls, where you'd roll and hop your way through the levels, and the marble was rainbow colored, and there was funky music, there were power-ups, and when you beat a level, there would be fireworks and shit. I don't remember if I gotten very far, but I do distinctly remember it being a demo of sorts, like with only a few levels available, with the level called Grand Finale being locked. At least I think. Again, I only played this game once, like 12 years ago, so as you'd imagine, some of my memories will probably be incorrect, if they even happened in the first place. And also from what I remember, after playing this game at the place, I really wanted the full version of it, for some reason. But something to keep in mind is that I wasn't allowed to be on the internet at home, like, at all, until I started high school, and that was when I was 14, so by that time, 4 years had passed, and history became legend, legend became myth, and I had all but forgotten about it, and I never got to play it again. From there, I'd go on to discover Online Sequencer, produce my self-titled album, shameless plug, check it out on Spotify in the description. I'd then graduate high school, discover Crunker, start my YouTube, become a map maker, what have you. Then a pandemic hit, and I ended up being stuck at home 24/7, which gave me plenty of time to reminisce about the good old days. But even with all that time on my hands, it was only until very recently when I sort of just remembered this random marble game I apparently played. And I still don't know what exactly triggered it, alright? It just sort of emerged out of nowhere, alright? You guys ever have that obscure, uncanny sort of memory or feeling you can't tell what it is, and you just remember it out of nowhere and it's so faint that you're not even sure if it happened or not? Well, that's how I remember this game, alright? It was like a fever dream, how little I remembered of it, yet how it just suddenly launched itself into the forefront. And it drove me insane, alright? I wanted closure on what this game was because, again, this was a memory of something that I really loved for the little amount of time I played it. And yeah, it just ate away at me. And so out of a burning desire to put this memory to rest, I got to digging for old 3D marble games. And in no time at all, I found what I was looking for and then some. And by some, I mean a whole lot more. I mean, seriously, this is more than I could have ever hoped for. It turns out, the coveted marble game I played all those years ago is a game called Marble Blast Gold. It was released all the way back in 2003, and it's the game, alright? This is it. Turns out I'm not losing my mind at all, and this game really existed. And just to make sure, I've decided to check out the demo first, courtesy of marbleblast.org. And yeah, it's the very exact same game. It only includes 6 of the 100 levels. Yeah, apparently there's a lot of them. And the grand finale I mentioned was in fact locked, just as I remember. So yeah, that checks out. And from the levels I could play, I can say that as far as the music and the wacky colors and UI and everything is concerned, it's pretty much exactly how I remember it, all the way down to the buy today pop-ups every time you do literally anything. Yeah, I forgot about those. But speaking of, as it turns out, I don't need to buy the game, as on the same site I found the demo, they listed the actual full version of the game alongside it, with a few notes as well. Apparently, the company who developed it and owned the rights to it went out of business in 2011, and you can no longer buy it, but now that it's here, you can get it for free. I think. I downloaded it, I installed it, and I have it, I guess. The actual full version of Marble Blast Gold. I was expecting this to be a lot harder, but yeah, poggers, I guess? I mean, this isn't Nintendo, so it should be fine. And right off the bat, there are some significant differences between the demo and the full game. It's almost as if the demo was a pre-alpha build or something, because god, the demo seems so primitive. The demo only had one music track that plays everywhere in the menus and in-game, while the full version, along with having that as the main menu music, it also had several more that would play during the game. And they're all in the same vein of, funk, whatever, the main menu music. Also in the demo, you were restricted to rotating the camera left or right, Doom style, like, you couldn't aim up or down, while the full version lets you look all around. Not to mention the performance is much better in the full version, assuming you have it on OpenGL mode. And of course, you can now play all 100 levels included with the game. Except not really, because all the levels are logged until you can beat the level previous. And some of those levels have qualifying times that you have to beat, or you won't unlock the next level even if you beat that level. Which is annoying, alright? I know that's what a lot of games do, but I just don't really like that. I just want to, for the hell of it, I just want to go to the hardest level and see how I do. And speaking of difficulty, there are actually 3 separate difficulties here: beginner, intermediate, and advanced. Both beginner and intermediate have 24 levels each, while advanced has 52, which is more than half of the 100. The beginner stages are as easy as you'd expect for the most part. They're mostly just teaching you the mechanics of the game, then throwing you into these short levels that take no time to do. Oddly enough, the coveted grand finale level that has been locked all these years is the last beginner level, instead of like an intermediate or an advanced. And it's more of an altogether now kind of level, where it just crams every mechanic into one level. The intermediate stages are a bit of a step up, but they're still manageable, right? They're still kind of awkward in the sense that they're still trying to get you into the flow of things, but there's much more in terms of actual stages that really test your understanding of the game's controls and mechanics. And the advanced stages, which again takes up over half the 100 levels, they really challenge you. I mean, Jesus, especially the last few levels, this game doesn't fuck around. And it also doesn't help with some of these later levels that some of the levels have questionable design choices. Like this 3-fold maze level that's huge and confusing, and you have to find gems, and there's all these different gravity modifiers, and it's just a mess. And then there's this block party, which is probably the most annoying level of them all, because you literally cannot figure out where to go. And it's not even trying to be clever, it's just stupid. Or this level that you can just skip by just hopping a bit. Like, it's a joke. Or this one trapdoor level that you can skip by just moving forward. Or this maze that you can skip with a little wall hit like this. And yeah, a lot of the levels have skips, and some of them can be kind of fun to pull off, but at the same time they negate the rest of the level. And yeah, that's not to say that there aren't well-designed levels in this game, like Upward Spiral or Ordeal or Whirl, which is my personal favorite. But then you just get some weird ones that bring the overall level design to just hit or miss. Well, even so, there's still some charm to these old levels, weird designs and all. And I just can't deny how fun this game is. And yeah, this game is quite a lot of fun, with controls that have a lot of potential. And speaking of potential, I have to step back a bit here, alright? This has already been one of the greatest rediscoveries I've ever made in my life, alright? Not only did I find the original demo that I played all those years ago, putting that runaway memory to rest, but I found the actual full version of the game that I have been longing for ever since I played the demo, which in and of itself turned out to be legitimately good. But the most amazing thing about all this is everything surrounding this game. Alright, Marble Blast Gold has developed one of the most devoted cult followings I've ever seen for any game. Alright, there's speedrunning, custom levels, mods, even full-on recreations and sequels to the original that really take advantage of the potential the controls provide. Alright, and the best example of this community's work has to be the web version of Marble Blast. It's offered on the same website as Marble Blast Gold, which is marbleblast.org. It contains Marble Blast Gold, the full version of that, along with the web version of Marble Blast Ultra, which was the Xbox 360 sequel, and Marble Blast Platinum, which is essentially gold on steroids. And I could go on and on about all the lore and community support surrounding this game, but for now, I'm focusing on the web version of Gold, because this is all too much for me to process at once. I need to take it one at a time here. I will say that upon first playing on this web version, you will need to click on the secret button in order to get to the actual Marble Blast Gold aesthetics, because by default the sound effects are from Marble Blast Platinum and they just don't hit the same as the gold sounds in my opinion. But once you switch over, you're golden, pun not intended. In fact, I'd argue at this point to not even bother downloading the original Marble Blast Gold, because to me, this is the best version of the game. The controls are much more responsive and polished compared to the relatively heavy, sluggish marble movements of the original. You also have immediate access to all the levels without needing to beat any qualified times anywhere. You also have the ability to save replays, play in widescreen, and even play from thousands of custom levels unavailable in the original. All of this in your browser with no need to download anything, for free. And yeah, the original Gold does have its charm and its nostalgia factor, but this web version does a fantastic job at modernizing the game enough while still retaining said charm. And I'm so angry I'm only just now discovering this. Like, how did it take me this long? I mean, the game isn't even all that obscure. Like, on YouTube, there are a whole bunch of videos of just Marble Blast Gold gameplay, and so a lot of them have like millions upon millions of views. And apparently it came bundled with Max at some point, so it's definitely not unknown. I've gone on this long thinking this memory was just some sort of fever dream or something, and that the multiple years of pandemic isolation have finally driven me insane, only for it to turn out to be a real thing at all. At least I hope. Y'all are seeing this too, right? I'm not hallucinating, am I? And you know what? I'm ultimately so happy I found this game again, and that it is even better in some ways than I remember. It's to the point where it might be my favorite game to play right now. And that might just be nostalgia, alright? I know nostalgia is kind of a slippery slope, like you shouldn't be living in the past so much, and you can taint your memories or whatever, but I mean, I didn't really have that many memories of this game in the first place. So, what the hell? And with how much else the game has to offer, I'm not about to pass it up.